An interesting question comes up. Are you allowed to whiten teeth on Shabbat using whitening strips? You put the strips on the teeth, you leave it there for half an hour, and it makes your teeth white. So the first melacha to discuss is melacha. Melacha is laundering. They used to wash the wool in the Mishkan, and you're not allowed to do laundry on Shabbat. So is that laundering? So the Mishnah Berurah clearly says in Siman Shin Bet, Memalef, he says that laundering only applies to fabrics, but not to anything solid. Any solid surface that you would be allowed to wash on Shabbat. So washing dishes would not be melacha, so there wouldn't be a melacha. The question is, would it be a melacha tzove'a, dyeing wool or dyeing fabric? First question is, does it apply to the human body? We have a machloker Rebbe Chachamim in the Mishnah and Shabbat, and the halacha follows Rabbanan, that it's asur Rabbanan to paint skin. Like a woman can't put on makeup on Shabbat if it's painting his skin. So what about whitening the teeth? The question would really be how the whitening strips work. Does it actually just remove stain, or does it actually paint the tooth? And so from my limited knowledge of how they work, it seems like that it soaks into the tooth and it actually causes the color to change, not just takes off stains on the surface. It somehow causes some kind of chemical reaction in the tooth to change the color. If that's the case, so it would be tzove'a on skin, which would be asur d'Rabbanan. The one consideration possibly is that tzove'a in the Mishkan was by putting dye or ink onto a fabric, or putting ink onto a paper. But what about over here where you're just causing an inherent chemical change? You're not putting a dye on the tooth, you're causing the tooth inherently to change colors. Would that be considered tzove'a as well? So it's clear from Shulchan Aruch that that's also considered tzove'a. Shulchan Aruch discusses a case where a woman putting dough on her face, putting it off, and then the face comes very red. There, you're not putting a external dye onto the face, you're causing the item to change color, and that's asur according to Shulchan Aruch from dyeing. It seems to be that it's better not to use whitening strips on Shabbat. It wouldn't be melacha again because it's a solid item, but it'd probably be tzove'a midrabanan on human flesh, and it would be best not to do on Shabbat. Have a good day.